that was gonna be a soft flop.
It's hard. It's a hard bottom.
Hey, what's going on, SHPC squad?
Hey y'all.
What's up, what's up? So, we're doing our question of the day, and I'm gonna ask Ashley the question first. Have you had any type of major life or death experience that caused you to change the way that you do things?
So yes, definitely. I was involved in a handgun robbery situation with a group of my friends. At the time, we were friends. I cut them off after that day, just an incident. But yeah, I was held at gunpoint, and it was a serious situation. It was one of like the worst days I feel like of my life because I really feared my life. You know, I really thought that there's a possibility that I could go out. So I was just like, oh no, like, I don't want to die like this. I can't afford to die like this. Like, it's more to my life. So I started thinking about my whole life and how I wanted to change. I feel like that situation helped me to realize like life is kind of short, and also that I'm destructible. Like, somebody stab me, I'm going to bleed. So just like, I have to realize that, I'm not invincible all the time, but I can have faith and be very strong to where I feel like I can be secure in myself, so the situations won't happen again. Like, that was a lesson that I do not want to endure anymore. Like, I don't ever want to go through that again. And also, like, it made me realize what I wanted out of life. I wanted more. I wanted to travel more. Maybe wanted like adventure more, not hold back. It gave me a new perspective. I felt like I wasn't guaranteed tomorrow. So I definitely needed it as a wake-up call. I feel like in situations where I see people walking up, I kind of get like a little tense in situations. It just reminds me of, them coming to the car from all angles to me. So I kind of feel like that something's about to happen, or like another setup situation. Where I feel like, if a gun was to come out, I'll make me think about that situation to where I want to assess the situation again, like how I did the first time. It wouldn't like trigger me to a point where I'm like, kind of scared. But it would trigger me to the point where I'm like, okay, it's serious, and I'm in this again. I won't go through that no more. I wouldn't want nobody to go through that.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I can't believe it even happened to me. It was really serious. So I'm glad that, I walked out of the situation okay, but one of the friends that I was with ended up getting shot, at the actual, right in front of me for a few feet away. So it was really, really serious. But she ended up being okay, but she ended up having one bullet removed. One bullet was still there in her spine. So she could walk, but one leg was mobile, one leg wasn't. I know the one that wasn't when she was trying to go through therapy and try to get it together, but it was really serious. But there was a lot of assessing going on in the situation, and a lot happens when you're in a near death situation. Even though it happens so quickly, because I swore it was like a course of 15 minutes, but it's like an hour or 2 hour worth of a story to tell, because a lot goes through your head, and like a lot of thoughts come up, scenarios come up, or like you try and play superhero. It's like you really are trying to be a superhero. Like, even in a situation, like I kid you not, I'm negotiating with one of the gunmen on how I can talk to one of my friends who's getting irate, who end up getting shot.
I can't believe.
But I'm negotiating, so that's a superhero move. Like, I'm going to try to save a situation, even though I have a gun to my head. Like, you still try to be that superhero. I was trying to be a superhero even back then, not even knowing the powers that I even possessed, at that time. I felt like, it's like a moment of, like, in the superhero movies and shows, when the superhero, they just find out they have powers.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, like how the Screamo girl, was it a superhero? And she's like, oh, like, I have a power now, like, I didn't even know, it saved my life. It's like, that's how I felt at that time. I guess with you, what's your story? What's something that you feel like was your life or death situation that may affect your life?
Well, it's kind of hard to pinpoint one situation, and it's not that a whole lot of life or death situations happen in my lifetime. Maybe a few, but I just think in general, growing up in Southwest Philadelphia, where I was from, being born in the 80s, and just what you were really just witness to, which you had to bear witness to on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, monthly basis. I think throughout the years of me growing up, I had some experiences where I didn't have any control over what I was exposed to, and so it was really hard for me to see beyond what I saw every day. But for some reason inside of me, I always felt like, I want to be able to impact the world, to be able to, change things so that we don't have to go through this 90% of the time. But as a kid, you don't really know, how you can change the world. You just know that, you're going to just continue on. And so I think a lot of the situations that I went through that, was life or death moments when it came down to gunshots and, running away from bullets or trying to, like you said, save one of your family members from things that's happening. And it's just like, you really do got to turn into a superhero. Like, you got to find something inside yourself that's just like, I'm not my environment, if you think about it that way. Like, I'm not my environment. I can really rise up and be above that. Not only rise up and be above my environment, I can come down and swoop everybody up and save them at that point. But sometimes it does take you to have to go through those life or death moments to drive you there so that you can see where you really are. Because sometimes, you can get caught up in the regular moments and the regular things that goes on around you and the things that you do every day. And you can really, forget who you are, forget where you are. And then when you realize, like, okay, even though these things are around me, they don't have to define me. You have to search within and start figuring out, so who am I then? And you start really digging deeper when you actually find out that, your life could end. When you realize that your life could have ended that moment or that day before or that week before, when those instances follow you throughout your life, And so even if you don't have the conversations about them when they happen, maybe to the people that was involved with you or to your family or someone that if you don't have those conversations then, you have to find someone that you can open up to and have those conversations with, and so that you can work through those, tragedies or moments that happen to you and figure out why they happen, and then also what power can you use from that so that you can actually go out and use it in some type of good way, and so that you can become who you need to become, and the power that you can use at that point can save others. And so that's really, what I got from my experience.
So I feel like in my situation, I use the superhero power of negotiation, right? Okay. So I feel like I negotiated my whole way through the gun violence. The gunman was around, was 3 gunmen, and I was able to talk to all 3 of them in a way to where I knew who I was dealing with, who would pull the trigger, who wouldn't. And I kind of assessed the situation like, okay, who's the most, irate friend of mine, who's gonna, kind of not do anything, so I can kind of know everybody's position. And so that was my situation. What about yours? Like, what superhero power do you think you use in the midst of a situation?
I kind of almost feel like I could have stopped it before it happened, because I kind of saw inside of somebody's mind or somebody's heart or somebody's situation, and I feel like I can feel where they were at that time. So almost like, maybe I would say telepathy almost, as a superpower to go along with the X-ray vision. Like, I felt like I could see through things and through people, but at the same time I can feel where they were, and so I intuitively knew that something was about to happen, and that person was about to do something that was going to take them really, really far, as far as their emotions was concerned. Now that you brought that situation up, I feel like just noticing that I have that superpower, I think at that time or after that time, I started to really analyze things even more when it came down to it. So it's just like when situations occurred and I was around the situations, I may have took the observation role where I'm not as involved with other people, or I'm not involved with the situation as much as I would like to, because I'm taking the observation mode where I have to really observe everything, put everything in perspective first before I can kind of join in. And I think that situation, particularly that I'm thinking of that happened as a child, or those multiple situations that happened as a child, I can think that may have been the reason why, because during those situations, I was so wrapped up in, I want to play, or I want to play basketball, I want to do this, that most of the time even though I was seeing what was going on, I couldn't really react because I didn't really think it all the way out, like, that I can actually do something. But now as an adult, I feel like I can actually do something. I have the power to do something, so I need to be able to observe and know what's going on so that I can save the day, per se, whenever it comes down to it. And then I can join into the festivities, but I still have an observant point of view whenever I'm, in those situations, because I was taking a life or death. And if life or death happened, I want to be prepared in those type of things.
That's real. Cause I feel like that with mine. Like, I think it did cause me to be more outspoken, to be more confident, to trust my instincts. Cause I felt like, I didn't really have that before, but I feel like I got that day. Like, trust my instincts, because my instincts would tell me, do this, do that. And at first, I was kind of rebelling, but then I realized I was going with the flow. And it was actually working. I'm like, why am I not, listening to my intuition? So I do feel like the intuition did kick in as well.
It's like you have to totally trust your intuition, because everything happens so fast. But at the same time, it be so slow on your recognition of what's going on, but it's so fast in a second. So you don't have time to think of a plan. You literally have to almost go into peace and calmness, almost to the point where your body is almost just like fluidly
in
just
harmony
going
with everything
with intuition and what happens in order to save your life at that point, or in order to save everybody's life that's around you. Like, you almost immediately go into that mode, like, I need to save myself and I need to save everybody here. And it's not even about like a villain on the other side, I think. I feel like sometimes we can look at it like somebody tried to take from me or somebody tried to do me some harm, but I feel like it's not even about those other people at that time. Like, it's really about a testament in you, and you're in that situation because it's really testing who you are, and it's bringing out a part of you that you may not have known it was there until you went through those moments. And so I feel like sometimes, instead of us pointing a finger at something or somebody doing something to us, I think we can use that as a power that we can harness and start to push out.
Yeah, like, then to them, like, those situations probably happen because, like, sometimes you don't really do this self-awareness, or you don't really take the time to really look within as much as you probably should. Like, sometimes you just focus on everything else that's around you, what you're doing, and not really paying attention to your own self. I think sometimes those life or death situations are there to instantly bring self-awareness. And I swear, it was like you instantly go into yourself when that happens. It's like, physically, I'm outside myself, going into myself. And it's just like everything else is kind of like blocked out. And so I just feel like, maybe those situations do happen to bring you more self-awareness, and also to bring you lessons too. I feel like I learned so many lessons. I learned like all the things we just talked about, before. So it was just a crazy experience. I don't wish it on nobody, but also I can see what I need to learn from it, and also I can see the growth from it, from that time to now. The decisions I made, like, when I put on to decisions, like, after that moment, it was just like, I have time to, like, you don't have no time. Like, you have no time. I swear it was implanted in my head, so I made decisions quickly. Like, I'm not doing this, I'm doing this, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing this no more. Like, you really just gotta, when those things happen, it really forces you to realize that time does not exist, and it's work for you to do. And you just gotta do it. And you gotta do it in your way, but you gotta do it in the way you can, leave from it. And when your life is spared, because when situations like that, you feel like your life is spared. Like, when somebody else had control over your life, you feel like, oh, they spared me. And so now you feel like, okay, it's something that I have to be doing. Like, now I know my life is meant to do something greater. Because it could have been a possibility where I could have been out of here, and there would be no story to tell. So it's just,
right there.
It's crazy.
Wake you
But
up.
yeah.
It does
wake you up.
You asleep,
oh,
and you have a life or death moment.
Ooh.
It will wake you up. But
It's
you,
like
you
biting
don't
the
want
pepper.
it to. You don't want it to cripple you though. Like, you don't want to use it where it creates this
crushes you.
fear. It's this fear inside of you that always like stops you from now doing the things in your life that'll really help you to, do your purpose and for you to be you. You don't want to stop those things because of a tragedy that happened to you or a life or death moment that happened to you. So that's why we think it's so important for you to have this communication and to have this open communication, especially with your partner, your significant other, because you can't let these things cripple you, and you can't let them fester inside and think that you can just, push everything down, suppress it, and think that now you've dealt with it. And I know as men, we always like to push everything down, and it's just like, those situations happen, but they make me me. but it can also be crippling you if you're not using the power in a way that it needs to be used. You know, you can either use the power or the power can use you, and it can cripple you. So we have to be careful with those events that happen with our life. And so when you can share it openly and you can talk about it, that's the first step in actually getting past it, and then also using the situation to make you a better person.
Right. So definitely ask your partner the same question. You know, you guys talk about your situation that happened in you guys' lives separately.
Yep.
And maybe you do know about it, maybe you don't, but just have an open dialogue. You know, even if you have children, this would be a good time to even share with your children situations that happen to you so that everybody can learn more about each other and also learn why you do the things that you do, because it will break down some of your characteristics and traits that you actually display, you know, based off of what happened or, you know, past traumas that you've had. So hopefully this opens an open dialogue for you and your family, and hopefully you actually deal with those traumas. You know, if it's a real situation, definitely deal with those things. We want you to, you know, be encouraged to deal with it, because you don't want it to impact your life in a negative way if you don't deal with it, because like you said, it will fester, and eventually it's going to be showing up in all areas of your life. It's going to be uncontrollable. So you just, nothing like having a superpower that's not controlled. And so you definitely want to make sure that you control it by opening up, talking about it, and also, you know, having that trust factor with your partner to make sure that you guys have that union, but come out to communicate about it. It's really important to, you know, feel comfortable about sharing it as well. So make sure that you have an environment, set up a nice environment, maybe a candlelight or something, maybe a bubble bath or something, you know. Just set it up to talk about it, you know. Just make sure it's, you know, nice. Not women like to do it, you know. So
that was really powerful what you said about, you know, it's nothing like a superhero power that can't be controlled. And that's literally what happens when you have things inside of you that you're not dealing with. You start to act out in ways that you can't even understand yourself, let alone the people that's around you. And so you start acting out, and you know, things start coming out, and you start doing certain behaviors that you can't really understand. It might not be as deep as what the situation was, but it's usually something deeper inside of you that you're not dealing with. So that's why we're talking about this open communication. That's why we want you to be able to take the relationship quiz that we have, because it might just bring out a certain part of your relationship that you didn't know was off balance, because we all have relationships that one of these principles fall out of balance, but nobody's perfect, right? Our relationship isn't perfect. So this quiz was created for us to be able to keep ourselves in balance as well. And so when you have certain parts and certain principles, and these 7 principles are really the key to not even just your personal foundation in your relationship, but your personal foundation inside of you. And so when you find one of these principles and it's like, you know what, this week I feel like we weren't all the way 100% with this one here. That opens up a communication, and not just a communication, it helps your foundation to become even stronger during that point and beyond, because you guys can realize what's off, fix it, and then just, you know, take off from there and vibrate higher and do your purpose and focus on the real stuff that you're supposed to be focused on in your relationship.
yeah, I like what I heard when they said, you know, two whole people make a marriage or make a union or a relationship, not 2 halves. So it's not half this, half that. So it comes down to the principles. You gotta have all 7 principles separately, so that way you can have it together as well. You can't go into a situation where you have only 4 principles on yourself and you're trying to work on the third one. It's like you have to really have all those packages and principles all together within yourself, and then also in your relationship, because it will impact your relationship and your business if you don't deal with them. So
Absolutely.
definitely communicate. It's always the number one thing to do, and be honest.
We here for y'all. We always here for y'all. We're gonna be here for you guys daily. So make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Subscribe, turn those notifications on.
Turn the notifications on, and then make sure that you go and take the quiz. We got some other stuff for y'all. So if you're brand new, welcome to the SHPC squad. If you are already a part of the squad, we always appreciate you tuning in.
We love you.
And we're gonna see you guys soon. Peace.
All right.